everybody wants to know why the acting director of the FBI can lie to the FBI, not just lie to the FBI like many people have done and many people have been convicted and sent to jail for, but when you're the director of the FBI and you make your staff go out and find a leaker who it turns out to be you all along, you've actually taken more taxpayer money and put it out there to look for someone who you knew all along didn't exist. And I'm not going to stop beating the drum on this. Andrew McCabe was apparently the DOJ is not going to charge him. And I got to tell you, regular folk like me and you, especially an Italian guy from Staten Island, if we lie to the FBI, we're getting thrown in the pen. And somebody who knows about this and plenty more things, she joined us yesterday talking about Andrew McCabe. Tracy Beanz joins us again on Skype. Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
So that little segment we did yesterday, it got kind of viral out there. Crazy response out in social media land. People want to know more about why the director of the FBI can lie and the rest of us can't. It's crazy.
There's really no good answer for that question. He actually sent the Internal Inspection Division of the FBI on a wild goose chase trying to get information from him until they realized they couldn't investigate their superior and brought in the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. And he admitted to lying. And then he went on television and cried about how people have ruined his life for 2 years. I just say, take a look at General Michael Flynn. Take a look at what's going on with Roger Stone. These people don't have a leg to stand on in terms of complaining about being tarred and feathered in the public sphere.
So now, Tracy, the left is going wild about some pardons yesterday. Most of these pardons are like, Rod Blagojevich got 7 years or 8 years in jail. Terrible thing, trying to sell a seat. It's an enemy of the democratic ideas, but he did 7 or 8 years. Eddie DiBartolo. These are like mostly nonviolent. Bernard Kerik. And they're going nuts about this stuff. But, Obama pardoned or commuted the sentence of almost 2,000 people over his term. One in particular that bothers me is Oscar Lopez, who was a terrorist and took responsibility for 120 bombings. How come nobody cares about Obama letting terrorists out, but they're mad about letting former politicians out?
Because there are two different universes that we live in nowadays. The one where nothing before 2016 happened, and the one that the rest of us inhabit, where we've seen this stuff going on for years and years. The hypocrisy is really maddening. In this business, doing what we do, it's really hard to see this happen over and over again and not just bang our heads against the wall. It gets crazy.
So, Rudy Giuliani is tied up, of course, as you know. We're going to get to the connections with Lev Parnas and George Soros. But he's not shy about standing up for his president. He put out this tweet yesterday in support of Bernie Kerik. Giuliani basically was saying that this is, if anyone deserves a pardon, it's my friend Bernie Kerik. And yes, I, along with many, did proudly recommend the pardon to President real Donald Trump. So I like to see Rudy still out there fighting. That's good. But now many people are not aware of a story you wrote that Lev Parnas, who's now turned rat and he's given up all this information or making up all this information about Rudy Giuliani, he's actually connected back to George Soros.
Yeah, actually, the way this happened is pretty interesting. He was like the go-between that the Democrats brought up during the impeachment over and over again, who provided information from Shokin into the Giuliani investigation. Giuliani was doing this investigation early on because he was trying to defend President Trump against Robert Mueller's witch hunt, not for any other reason. And so, there was a recording that came out a couple weeks ago of Lev Parnas, who taped a fundraising dinner that made President Trump look better than any campaign ad could possibly ever look. But Lev Parnas was indicted. And when you do the research and take a look back, the group behind that indictment, the group that first brought it up, is actually funded by George Soros's Open Society Foundation. So before anyone knew who Lev Parnas was, this group was investigating some FEC donations from his company and brought it forward. And they held on and indicted him back in the heat of the impeachment hearings. So it looks like George Soros was actually targeting Parnas for sharing the information that he did with the Trump administration and Giuliani about what was going on in Ukraine.
So somewhere in there, in the sausage factory we call our American political campaign contribution and finance structure, George Soros, who to me is, the Darth Vader of progressivism, he actually had a team digging up dirt on Parnas and then sending that over to somebody who was a go-between to the Justice Department and unearthing this stuff, right?
The organization themselves submitted the complaint, and then the FEC forwarded it over to the Justice Department. Yes, almost every single witness in this impeachment, William Taylor, Lev Parnas, who was tangentially tied to it, Fiona Hill, all of them have connections to George Soros. That's why they picked the folks they did to come in and testify as kind of a veil of protection. This is a much bigger story than just trying to impeach the president. They're trying to cover up what they actually did.
Well, that's why we bring on the boss, Tracy. I just found out Severino Beanz, fellow Italian and unbelievable investigative journalist, and that's why we bring her on from Uncover DC, because she uncovers all the stuff nobody wants to talk about it. And you're always welcome here, my friend. And we got to get you back up to New York one of these days, have you in the set for a real liquid lunch.
I would love to come and join you for a few minutes up there. Thanks.
That would be great. Tracy Beanz, thank you so much. Check out Uncover DC for the best stories where you get the real deal on what's happening out there. You're going to get the real deal from Joy Villa in just a little while, but we're going to go over to Frankie when we come back, check in on some breaking news and some people calling in and all that other good stuff. You're watching Liquid Lunch. We'll be back right after this.